Hello and welcome to this episode of Hobby Banter, the series which you put on in the background just to keep you some company while doing some hobby time, or for all I care you go and do the dishes and listen to me rambling. As over the past number of episodes, I'm going to continue working on the Trigon Prime. I'm going to finish the white today, so that hopefully soon, in the next episode or something, I can start working on the carapace, on the purple, and make him look like he's actually from High Fleet Leviathan. Like I mentioned before, the yellow already was on there when I bought this thing. I bought it off of somebody else. No real need to always buy new models. And he actually was in a batch with guns, and I needed the guns more than this guy. But since I have it all painted, I think it's going to be a nice addition to the army in the future. So I'll mix some paint first. And the pot's nearly done. And a bit of white. So it has been a bit quiet on the channel. Last week, Monday, whilst we were recording a battle report, I started to feel sick, and I pretty fast got really sick. That at the end of the game we were playing, which only was a Kill Team Arena game, so that it's not even taking that long. I could barely sit straight and hold up the camera. So when we finished that game, I went to bed and I slept for like an entire day. And it really took me nearly a week before I was feeling 100% alright again. I'm still not feeling super strong, but it's getting better and better and better again. So meaning now I can do some hobby again and start working on some new videos. And this being well, the first one, which is nice. I should really make sure I get a system going where I'm like a month ahead with my videos. But especially with the painting tutorials, that's pretty hard because whenever I want to paint something that's just new, I like to have the tutorial out fast so that it helps as many people as possible. Clearly it also helps to get the views in for the video, but to me that's not the main thing. I make these videos in the first place for myself, to have a nice and handy video backlog. And if anybody can benefit from it, that's super nice. Meaning the tutorials, obviously, because the battle reports, that's just a form of entertainment in my eyes. Or get to know a game, or just whatever you want from it. Whenever I consider buying something new, I will first go and see if I can find some battle reports to get a little bit of an idea how that game works. And usually that's helpful in deciding if I want to buy a game or not. And last week, on top of me, all the kids got sick once again. So they all we had a pretty fun week here. Mm. But everybody's all better. Everybody's back to school, back to work. The only person who didn't get sick was my wife, actually. And last Saturday we had we were together for 6 years, so we celebrated a bit. We went out for dinner, the two of us. Actually, the first time in I think 4 years we actually managed to do something with just the two of us. So that was good times. You know, kids are fun, but sometimes you want to do something without them. And next week the kids have a holiday. So there's a couple more days school left for them, and then they're off for a week. And I'm hoping the weather stays like this for them, so that they nicely can, especially the little ones, they can go and play outside. And the older two kids, they feel like whenever the internet breaks down here, like their life is over. I don't know. Usually I don't even notice when it goes down, especially during the day. I don't use it anyway, and my phone will just go over to the regular network from the provider. So I hardly even notice that, but they seem to always notice instantly. And then have huge problems finding something to do without internet, which I actually find worrying. But they literally sit on the couch, wait till the router turns back on. But I think it's part of modern day life, isn't it? So this morning we went for a nice walk in the forest. Area where I live, there's quite a lot of forest. So when I walk out the street, there's already forest there. We live in a pretty small town, but in like a, what is it, 5 minute drive with the car. This is really nice and quiet walking trails, and we went there with the dog and just had a nice little walk with my wife and the dog. You know, we brought the kids to school, and then we went there. It's a nice, quiet, peaceful way to start to restart the day. It's never peaceful with 4 kids in the house in the morning, but It was really nice, really relaxing. And I think we walked for around 6 kilometers or something, so not a marathon or something, but just a nice walk. And I always enjoy going to the woods or the forest, and have a walk there, enjoy a bit of nature, and well, still the very good weather we were having. And like I said in the last episode, it's like one record after the other gets broken at the moment here, as far as heat in February. I believe by the end of the week they already talking about 20 degrees Celsius, so that is just insane. But and I already feel it here in the attic as well, because it's already getting pretty warm in the later in the day. Now it's morning, so now it's actually pretty good. I closed the window for the sake of the video, so that not too much noises from outside get in. But otherwise the window is wide open the entire day now. I hear quite some noise from outside. Don't know if you can hear it. I think you can. And when I finish this video, I'm going to paint a Razorback today for a commission. I have that one done for a Grey Knight commission. And I need to finish a couple of bases on 10 dudes for the same commission. And when that's done, I have a nice 1000 Sun commission waiting. And I'll probably start that later today, because the Razorback shouldn't take me longer than a couple hours to completely paint. Whenever I paint a commission, it's a bit different, clearly, than this. I just put an hourly fee on a commission, and if I would start painting like this, it would be insanely expensive. And this is just for my armies, or whenever I paint a gift for somebody or something, or like that, or I do a tutorial, I'll do more extensive work, and then on a basic level commission, clearly. Because if you paint commissions too cheap, well, at least I feel that if it's too cheap, I'd rather go and paint my own stuff instead of waste my time for for just not enough money for what I'm doing. But that's how I feel about that. Maybe other people feel differently. Whenever I see some people go and offer a paint job for next to nothing, that's like ridiculous. That's just plain stupid. Put in a lot of time. It took a lot of time to learn all your skills, and then you're just gonna blatantly give it away practically, and that's just dumb. Oh. Well, I'll be pretty happy when this is done. I did put in the wash like I said I would do off camera, because it just takes quite some time to dry. And I think I did that like, what was it, Saturday, when I was starting to feel better. So that was nicely settled now and can dry, and now, so that I can now continue painting this this worm. So looking forward to that new set that's going to be released soon. I really want those Primaris Marines. And I think I'd like to paint the spider tank as well. He looks, that thing looks mean. Looking forward to see the rules for that that beast. Also hoping that these units will give Chaos the chance to, you know, field real Chaos armies again instead of cultist spam, which is just pretty boring and it doesn't feel right to me. It's not as Chaos should be, in my opinion. And the same goes for, you know, Death Guard with the 600 Poxwalkers. That's just not, you know, that's not Death Guard. That's just a swarm of Poxwalkers. There's a couple of arms that should come with loads and loads of dudes. You know, Astra Militarum. And then I don't mean spam conscripts or something, but you know, the backbone of that army should be infantry. Same goes for quite some orc variants. Clearly, speed freaks won't be with 200 guys, but and I feel Tyranid should have a lot of dudes as well, whereas Chaos should be more elite-like and build up on their Marines and Terminators and that kind of stuff. But again, that's my opinion, and perfectly fine if somebody has a different opinion, clearly. Sorry, I'm a bit quiet, focusing a bit on the areas I'm painting. I love these snake models, by the way. I still have a Trigon left that I can paint somewhere down the line, and it's one of those original Forge World Trigons that I bought years ago, when back then you couldn't just easily field Forge World stuff. People would instantly start moaning and complaining about it, but I for one am happy that's no longer the case, and that in general they are allowed on the table. And if you see the average model cost point wise, they're not even that good. If you, for example, look at the Titans, they just for the points you have to pay for them, they blatantly they just suck. You take for example the Warlord Titan costing 6,000 points. He's never going to get his points back unless he manages to kill like 5 Warhound Titans or something like that, but which he's perfectly capable of doing. But who fields 5 Warhound Titans? So I think for that silly amount of points they might have just as well just given him no point value and only a power level. That I think that would have been better. Another good thing is I nearly finished building all my Necrons, so I can start painting those pretty soon, hopefully. Just need to do a couple more raids and what's the name? Those silly little bike flyers, Tomb Blades. Need to build 2 more Tomb Blades and need to build 2 more raids and finish the 3rd one. And clean a couple of parts up for the Seraptech, but well, that's not really going to be a big deal. Those Tomb Blades, however, are seriously horrible to build. Normally I'm already not a big fan of building models. It's my least favorite part of this hobby. But it has to be done, so I'll do it anyway. But I got one build, and yeah, I really didn't enjoy that model. Normally I don't mind building models. I don't enjoy it, but I don't mind. But this really, I didn't enjoy it. I really disliked it, and up to a point where I'm considering just not painting them at all, not building them. I don't build armies to win, even though the Tomb Blades seem to be a pretty good unit. But I'll manage without them. I'll give it another try later, maybe today or tomorrow. And the raids are okay to build, so I'll do that. And I got my Doomsday Ark in like a million different pieces, because if I'll build that, it's going to be impossible to paint. And then I can record a couple of tutorials on the Necrons, because quite a lot of people ask how I paint certain parts on them. So I figured I might just as well make a couple more tutorials on different models, and do an immortal and a warrior, and maybe the tomb spider. Probably not the tomb blades. Because yeah, don't want to. We're making nice progress on this guy. I don't know how long we are, nearly half an hour already. Well, time flies when you're having fun. I'm not sure if I'll make it entirely this hour, this model, but I'll finish it anyway off camera then. I can't go on and record another video after this one instantly. Not that I don't want to, I just don't have the time. I need to do some other stuff today. I need to go to the. Oh, that's actually a good one. I don't know the English word, but our daughter has some issues with her speech, so she needs to go to the special. It's not a doctor. It's well, she gets exercises for her muscles, her mouth muscles, to pronounce words better and stuff like that. So she needs to go there. I need to take her there, and I need to get some food for the cat, the sick cat. Well, the now not so sick anymore cat, but she's on a special diet now. So she needs to. She needs to get some new food because it's nearly gone. And then the other cat can try and steal it from her again, as usual. Which is quite funny to watch. So as for Age of Sigmar, I have decided that I don't know if I already said this, but I've decided that I'll be making myself a Flesh Eater Court army. And I already test painted the first models. I had myself inspired by yeah, I think I mentioned this in the previous episode, but I had myself inspired by the Descent, the movie, which on itself is a really bad movie, by the way, but I wouldn't recommend it. And a bit on what's his face from the Lord of the Rings, the Gollum. So I decided to go for some more flashlight colors and with some blood effects and some. I think that turned out quite okay. I painted 2 ghouls so far in an acceptable amount of time. The way I read through the rules right now, I might just need like around 80 or something, so I don't want to spend hours and hours on them. It's also super nice. I forgot to mention the mixture of this paint I'm using, but it's a mixture of 1 part bone white and 1 part dead white. I use it clearly in larger quantities on the model of this size, and I added in some glaze medium to thin it down a bit. You know, if you want, you can just use water. I prefer not to use water to thin my my paints and mixtures and stuff like that, because water can break the pigments apart, and then and this stuff doesn't. But if you don't want to spend the money, a little bit of water is will work as well. On top of that, this glaze medium makes sure that the paint doesn't dry out as fast. So, well, just this part of the tail left to do, and then the arms. So I think I'll get that done in this video. And even now, this is the final highlight on the white. It doesn't even need to be super precise, because when the carapace is all painted, there will go another thin wash over the entire model, which will then once again tie everything together, and it also helps covering up small mistakes that might be in there. I quite often say that painting is nothing more than a sequence of tricks, and just knowing which trick to apply and what moment to get a more of a result. On top of that, painting using lots of tricks will also speed the process up quite a lot. So especially if you're not that patient, and don't have the patience to sit down for hours and hours on a model, learning yourself those type of tricks can be really useful. Yes, so now just this side left to do on the tail. I always enjoy watching my Tyranid army. It's downstairs in the cabinet, and it's getting close to 200 models, but there's only 2 monsters, so it takes quite some space. But then again, the monsters, they do look impressive, so it'll be nice to add a bunch of them over the coming years, just gradually, a couple of them a year. And just for the looks, I would like to add some gargoyles and gene stealers as well. I only have like 5 Gene Stealers painted at the moment. I do have some more from my old army, but they all have carapace upgrade, and yeah, I don't want them. Uh, in this edition, it's useless to give them that. I think the moment when I played with those Gene Stealers, they actually had a base 4-up armor save in 4th edition. So if you gave them the carapace armor, they uh, upped it to a 3-up armor save, making them really good. And the unit of 5 or 6 would just back then rampage through a unit of 10 Marines. That was like a non-issue for them. Also because rending back then was on hit rolls. We're talking rending before it got on any type of ranged weapon actually. Rending was only available to Tyranids and Demonettes. But back then, it to me always felt like the moment somebody had something good and he wasn't a Space Marine, in the next Space Marine Codex they would have it as well. And that's exactly what happened. They put it on the assault cannon, and that broke the game for quite a large part. It broke rending for sure. Now I'm not sure if, I think in the beginning the assault cannon also had it on the hit rolls actually, but then they changed it to the wound rolls. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame. No, I do get that your poster boys need to be on top, but you can overdo it in my opinion. For quite a long time I was playing 40k and felt like every army was just basically the same. The only difference were the actual figures on the table, but rule wise there wasn't that much difference. The unique feel to armies was gone, and I think 8th edition is doing a pretty good job to bring that back. Clearly 8th edition has flaws, but you know, that's okay. They're not as bad as it used to be, in my opinion. So I'm hoping my paint arrives today. I ran out of a couple of colors that I need. And then I can start working on the Hell Blazes as well for my Primaris Marines. because that would be nice to add them as well. I'm kind of looking forward to see how this Vigilus campaign thing unfolds. I'm actually hoping that Gales will grab a win, get some serious foothold in the Imperium. And to be honest, if Abaddon shows up, I mean, he kicked Magnus's ass in the warp, so if he shows up, I think there should be because if anybody's gonna stop him, it needs to be a Primarch. So they better bring out a new Primarch, because if Gilliman again is going to stop some big ass Chaos dude, that's going to lose a little bit of credibility to the story. Clearly it's science fiction, but you know, if Gilliman again is going to stop him, then they might just include Batman in the next expansion or in the next because you know, then it's turning more into a Marvel story than you know what I mean. It'll turn into a superhero story, and that I don't think that's the route they should be taking with the storyline. It would be nice to see Lehman Rush show up, or especially after the heavy rumors, or Lionel Johnson. Maybe for the lore, it would be actually perfect if it would be Lionel Johnson, so that he can set some stuff straight from the recent events that happened with surrounding the Dark Angels. So that might not might actually be a really nice and good move for the lore, and also for the faint heart of Dark Angel players. I don't mean to offend anybody by that, but we've all seen the memes and the bashing and the way that went. So that's why this might be a really good time for him to show up and tell Abaddon to go stick that claw of him somewhere where there's no sunshine left. But probably it's going to be Gilliman again, so we can get annoyed by that, because I don't think Kalgar is able to, should be able to just stop Abaddon. Abaddon should be a bit too powerful for him. Well, not just a bit. Should be way too powerful for him. But then again, you never know. But I just hope that that Chaos gets serious foothold inside the Imperium, and all of the shenanigans can start going on there. These hard to reach areas are always brilliant to paint. But we're getting there. I should actually start reading up on some rules on dudes like this. So I think, if I remember correctly, he has quite some shots, and he can clearly pop out from under the ground. Not that I plan on finishing him this week or anything, but it would be nice to see if there's that I can make some place in the army for him. Especially since I also have a finished Morlock. They both can show up, and I think they can, between the two of them, can actually do some damage on the turn they arrive. The Morlock do some mortal wounds. And then this guy jumping in to add to the fun. And eating, munching, depending on what they're attacking clearly. Maybe it would have been better to just get some more Morlocks, but in general I'm not that much of a let's copy paste units because of an ability they have. I'd rather make some room in my army to try some other stuff as well. However, in certain circumstances you might argue to, for example, with to get some extra command points or something. One extra command point, you can take the detachment with only elites and fill it for like, what is it, 93 points with just 3 times 1 lictor. So if you manage to have like 160, 170 points spare in a Tyranid army, you can just buy a Tyranid Prime and 3 lictors if you don't have them already in your list clearly. And you get an additional command point. Maybe it's not well, not a nice move, I don't know. I don't feel that Tyranid stratagems are that brilliant, so there's way better stratagems in the game than the ones the Tyranids have. Even though there's a couple of pretty nice combinations. Having units shoot again and stuff like that. I think the favorite one I used, and I don't know the names of the stratagems, but on a unit of 30 termagants with flesh borers, I believe they get a reroll to hit for once. And then you play the stratagem where they get a +1 on their wound rolls. And they do shoot strength 4. So they'll be wounding stuff like Space Marines on trees. And they'll be hitting on 4s. So I get like 15 hits and then like 5 rerolls. So let's say you get 17 hits off. And then you'll be wounding on 3s. You'll get like let's say an average of 12 wounds off. That's like 4 wounds on the unit of Space Marines, and if you then can have them shoot again with another stratagem, they can actually do quite some damage to a unit of Space Marines. And that unit of Space Marines will be more expensive than your unit of Gaunts, so you made your points back. And with the flash bores, it actually makes them capable of hurting rather large scale vehicles and monsters as well. A lot of people who take the Devourers, I don't see the use in that. The only use indeed is if they get to shoot twice, but I feel they're too expensive for what they're doing. I know a lot of Tyranid players are not going to agree with me, but I'd rather take the extra wounds for the same amount of points, because the Devourers, as many points as the Termagant itself, and the only thing it does, it's a 3-shot weapon, where the flash bore is a 1-shot weapon, but that weapon is free. So in the long run, I then calculate out that I have twice the amount of wounds and I only lose 1/3 of the amount of shots. But the moment one Devourer gun goes down, you lose 3 shots, and if one flashbore gun goes down, it's just 1 shot. On top of that, the Devourer is a higher strength, but I believe a longer range as well, so well, maybe it's the same range, but that makes me more inclined to take flashbores. But maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. And I believe the stratagem for the +1 to wound on the wound roll is only eligible for the Devourers, or the flashbores, but I might be wrong on that one as well. I think you can only play it on flashbore and flashbore-like weapons, or flashbore hive. You can play it on, for example, on your Tyrannofax. But you know, like I said, if I get to do 30 strength 4 shots on a unit of Eldar dudes, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, all again getting to the 16, roughly 16, 17 hits, and then being able to do that again. And Eldar isn't really famous for their superior armor saves. And that stupid unit of Gaunts that cost 120 points most likely is pretty capable of taking out multiple units of Eldar in one go. And if you field tons of them, they'll get there. But you can also roll a crap ton of 1s, obviously, and have a laugh about that. Well, so the end of this video turned more into a gone tactical video, but that's okay. That can happen. Don't know how far we are. In a little over 50 minutes, so it's okay to end the video roughly here. And as usual, I'm now going to start rambling, and then we'll be like stopping the video in 20 minutes from here. Now I'm gonna finish this little layer, and then next time I can nicely start working on the carapace. Blocking that in, the first coat will be a little bit of work, especially these little edges on the inside. That should be okay. Yeah. I do like these Tyranid monsters, so I don't have all of them, but the plan is that will get solved, and I want to have a complete collection of Tyranids. They've always been my first go-to army, basically. And this time I'm just really happy I picked the Hypotid Leviathan colors this time, because this actually is the third Tyranid army I'm painting. Started off with them, and then I made a purple green one, and then in 7th edition I went for these guys. And then 8th edition dropped, and I decided not to have the rules interfere with my plans, and just stick to my plan and build the army the way I want it. And good thing is that 8th edition does allow me to play like this, so that's really good. Yeah, so next time I can start working on the carapace. Maybe I'll do the first coat already, but I'll see. No rush. We'll be okay. The carapace shouldn't take up like 5 or 6 episodes. I think it should be done in around 2 or maybe 3. Maybe I'll paint a bit off camera on that. But I like to have one model, or maybe in the future a group of models, just for this series. For example, also nice to paint a warband or something like that. Or maybe something completely different. Maybe my war machine or something. But I just want to avoid having to airbrush in this series due to the noise the airbrush makes. The compressor doesn't make that much noise, not the one I have, but you'll have the air blowing, so that's not really good. Or at least I don't like that. I don't want that in the video. I should just stop now, because I keep seeing things that I want to add or just build up a bit more. So that's it. I'm gonna stop right now. I'm gonna stop here. Leave it at this. I'm going to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, let me know what you've been working on or what you've been doing. Even if it was the dishes, I was just kidding, but maybe you did. I don't know. I don't get to say that and decide that. That's quite clear. So I hope you enjoyed this last, well, roughly an hour, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.